Call this meeting for the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board to order at 6:02. We'll do introductions first. I'm Cassie McClure, Chair, District 1.
Stan Engel, District 4.
Megan Schuler, District 6.
Robert Harrison, District 2.
Jeff?
And I'm sorry, yes, my name is Jeff Thompson. And I assumed that I was District 2 as I was through Tessa Stubbe.
Yes, you are.
But, so, okay.
I'm past. I'm just here to watch.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So let me see if there's any conflicts of interest, any board or staff with anything on the agenda.
This is Sonia Delgado, none.
Anyone else? No?
None. Stan Engel, none.
Megan Schuler, none.
Jeff Thompson, none.
None for myself. Any other staff? No? I'm just gonna, can I assume no? I'm gonna assume no. All right, number 3, approval agenda. If anybody would like to approve the agenda for me?
Madam Chair, I move to accept the agenda as is, as written.
Do I have a second?
Madam Chairman, this is Megan, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, let's do this. All right, let's do approval of minutes. Anyone move to approve the minutes?
Madam Chairman, I have one slight correction to the minutes from the November meeting.
Sure.
On section 4. It's just, hold on, let me go scroll back up to it. I think it's just a slight misprint on that first sentence under approval of minutes. Mr. Schuler instead of Mrs. Schuler.
All right, can we amend that and then we can
Yes,
motion to approve the minute as amended?
yes,
Madam Chair, Stan Engel, District 4. I make a motion to approve the minutes as amended.
Megan, Jeff, looking for you guys for a second.
Yes, Megan, second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right, any opposed? All right. So 4.1, wait, nope. No. Public participation. All right, Hazel, you're on. I don't see, so you're gonna have to guide this a
Okay.
little bit.
okay. I did have a request by Mr. Shervanek.
Okay,
So Mr. Shervanek, if you could raise your hand. Okay, and you may speak.
This is a public input, and this is Gregory Shervanek for the record. I feel that based on equity, the resolution brought forth by Councilor Sorg for the new park in District 5 is totally out of alignment with the philosophical idea that Elevate Las Cruces and the creations of projects in the city are a progressive item, not something that one can just grab based on particular type of resolution politics that doesn't actually follow what every other project has been brought before this board, committee, and Parks and Recreations. I realize that Sonia and her staff cannot defend themselves against the requests based on a resolution. So you, the board, are the last bastion between, well, chaos. You previously had policies of a way of doing things. You wouldn't give the soccer team, not you personally, but the soccer team couldn't even get a water fountain a couple of years ago. So now all out of the blue, Councilor Sorg decides that whether it's legacy or these people are very loud and vocal at this time, because he could have come to this board and Parks and Recreation and asked for something in that area. And those the people that I read the newspaper article, they've lived out there for years. I mean, they knew where they were living and what they built on the properties. So I feel it's totally out of character, and the only people who can make or ask for an adjustment are you, the board. Sonia and Parks and Rec staff cannot do that under the conditions of the resolution proposed to City Council. Because if you open that door, it is likely other city councilors will be knocking on it, asking for the same park within a year under a resolution. Thank you very much for letting me speak this evening.
Thank you, Gregory. I guess I have a question. Is this the portion where the board, if they have any questions, they want to make it an item in the next agenda? Is that something they do now?
I don't believe you can do that because you'll get an update from,
Actually, my question was to Sonia more so.
oh, excuse me.
Madam Chair, Sonia Delgado, Director of Parks and Recreation. At this point in time, if the board has any questions of Mr. Chervanek, they can ask those questions of him. I will be providing an update, just so happens to be on the agenda, and we can have a little more in-depth conversation at that time regarding the park in District 5.
I guess I do have a question real quick. Is there any action item that we can do as a board when something like this gets, this is something you may cover later in the, discussion of it, but.
Madam Chair, members of the board, Sonia Delgado, Director of Parks and Recreation. That's a very good question. And because it's a resolution from City Council, I'm not sure, but I will have to go check because I do not know, and I can report back to this board.
All right. Does anyone have questions for Gregory? No, hearing none. Thank you. I appreciate that. I hope you stay on to hear what the presentation, what Sonia explains to us. We may have questions for her then that might be helpful too. So,
Thank you.
do we have any other public participation? I guess that's a no from Hazel. No. All right.
Yeah, I don't have any raised hands.
Okay. Let's go to number 6. We're actually going to skip it because there are no action items. This is all talking this time. Let's go to 7 discussion items. Let's do 7.1 board member introductions. When we set the agenda, I felt it would probably be good for us to just like have, I don't know, 1, 2, 3 sentences about who we are so that Jeff can know what kind of crazy board he's found himself on. Just kidding. Just kidding. I'll go first. I'm Cassie McClure. I was trying to think earlier today. I'm not sure how long I've been on this board. Maybe 5 years. I think my youngest was a baby. So it's been a while. It's been a while. I'm a freelance writer here in town. I'm in District 1. I'm actually in the Old Country Club neighborhood. So there's a lot of brouhaha in terms of that always. So what else should I say? I don't even know. See, if you have any questions, let us know. Welcome to our board. It's always nice to have new members. Stan, I'll put you on the spot. Go.
Yeah, I'm Stan Engel. I represent District 4 on the board. I've been on the board since June 2018, I think. I'm the vice chair. And then I guess Cassie added a little bit about what she does professionally. So I'm a staff member in the Plant and Environmental Sciences Department at NMSU, and yeah, that's about it.
What district are you? Where's that at? You're downtown, right?
Close to downtown.
Close to
Yeah.
downtown. Okay. Megan.
Excellent. My name is Megan Schuler. I am in District 6, which is the east side of the city. I have been on the board for a couple of years now, and going into the final year. My term is up next year. I am currently a loan officer for Farm Credit of New Mexico, and have grown up here in Las Cruces nearly all of my life. So.
And I'll say too, we have Eli Guzman, who, I mean, his name might be a little bit familiar. He does the Guzman's Karate, amongst other things. We have Eric Montgomery. He's with Marvita. When he's here, he has very interesting questions always. Marilyn Zahler, she is our advocate for elderly sort of initiatives and the dog park. Am I missing anybody? Robert, I would say something about you, but since you're gone, I'm not going to do it. So I think that's the whole of who we are, right? I'm not missing anybody. Anybody that's going to get mad? No. Okay, so Jeff, now you're on.
All right. My name is Jeff Thompson. I am in District 2, which is down by New Mexico State, just east of the highway. I have been in Las Cruces for a little over 30 years. I came here from Honolulu, Hawaii to New Mexico State University to coach women's basketball. 1 year here, decided to get out of that and got into private business. For 29 years, I was the Boar's Head distributor for Southern New Mexico. I just have since stepped away from that. My longtime business partner and I have separated. I think he told me it was retirement on my end. But I am on to new endeavors. I am heavily into soccer. Both my kids having played throughout their early years. My son went on to play at a pretty fair level overseas, and we are now in affiliate members with New Mexico State as the UDA at NMSU Men's Soccer Academy. We run soccer academies in both the U.S. and the United Kingdom, and so I am heavily invested from a soccer perspective at and hope to bring that perspective to the board.
We're excited to have that, because I think sometimes we feel like, what does the soccer community want? And I have like a 5-year-old who's in soccer, but like for 3 months, right? Like it wasn't very long. So it's good to get that perspective from people who are actually in it and kind of can say a little bit more about it. Eric, I'm sorry, I'm going to put you on the spot. I saw that you came in. We're doing introductions of board members. I said nice things about you, but please take it away.
No, you can please take away all the nice things about me. Eric Montgomery, I'm the representative for District 5. Hi, everybody.
All righty. Okay, so if you need anything from us, just let us know, but I will go on to 7.2, AARP Fitlock Park Amenities Update from Kathy Matthews.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board. I just wanted to give a quick presentation. Oops, I'm sorry. If I can share my screen, if I can figure this out. Let's see. Here we go. There we go. So you may recall the recommendation was put forward by this board and was accepted and approved by the council to place the AARP Fitlot Outdoor Fitness Park at Benavides Community Center. So I wanted to give you a picture of the Fitlot, the red circle with the gray shade structure you see on it. Is a picture that represents the Fitlot. It's got several pieces of fitness equipment under a shade structure on top of a rubberized safety surfacing. And also included will be some site furnishings, namely a trash receptacle, bike rack, and a bench. So it'll be quite a nice amenity provided by AARP to the residents of Las Cruces. And this is the location that was approved. This aerial photo represents the conceptual master plan that was developed for Benavides Community Center. The community center is represented by the square here, basically in the middle of the picture, at the corner of McClure and 2nd Street. And the master plan that was developed with the residents in the vicinity of the community center includes a formalized practice field for baseball with additional open turf space and walking pathways, the existing parking lots, the existing basketball court, and the newly renovated playground as well. And you'll notice here in this location where my cursor is, I've noted it as the AARP Fit Lot. In the actual conceptual master plan, it was labeled as outdoor fitness, which just aptly describes the AARP Fit Lot. And so this master plan, as you recall, was approved with an outdoor fitness park included even before we knew that AARP Fit Lot was going to be an option. So it fits very nicely in here. And I wanted to show you this photo so that you would be able to understand how the Fit Lot is going to work with the rest of the planned and existing amenities within Benavides Park. And with that, I'd be happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Kathy. Does anyone have questions?
Thank you, Kathy. I have one question. This is Megan. And I didn't mean to, probably not last week, but what is our time frame on this now? As far as I know that the other outdoor parks went up rather quickly. Is that kind of the same time frame on this going up and being in Benavides Park?
Yes, Madam Chair, Member Schuler, the time frame is going to be very quick. AARP's timeframe starts on February 3rd with ordering the fitness equipment, and we anticipate completion in May of this year.
Kathy, this is Stan Engel, District 4. My question is, will the installation of the Fit Lot interfere at all with the rest of the master plan? In other words, do you foresee it kind of being in the way of any other updates to the park? Would you need to like deinstall it and then reinstall it or something like that?
Madam Chair, Board Member Engel, that's an excellent question. We do not anticipate it interfering at all. In fact, it's this area that's designated as the outdoor fitness spot, represented in this picture here, does not have any amenities in it right now. And I do have to say, when we walk through the site with the installer, I would like to actually consider shifting the AARP Fit Lot to this location adjacent to the basketball court. I'm going to suggest it, and we're going to review the site and see if that actually is a better location from the perspective of ADA compliance and accessibility, because these are existing walkways represented by these white lines here, and so the access route to this particular location is already accessible, and it's immediately adjacent to the space that is called for in the master plan. So I want to leave open the possibility of slightly shifting the actual location, and however, either location will work and will not have to be moved or adjusted in the future. If it goes in this location, or if it actually gets shifted into this location, we will not have to adjust.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Hearing none. All right. Thank you, Kathy.
Thank you.
All right, let's go to 7.3 New District 5 Park. Sonia Delgado and Kathy.
Good evening, board members. Sonia Delgado, Director of Parks and Recreation. So as you know, a resolution was passed from City Council for us to purchase land and build a park in District 5. Councilor Sorg did have an article in the newspaper this past weekend, and he talked about the general area. We are currently in the process of, we have met with land management and looking for some parcels that could possibly be used for a park. As you know, our standard through our Parks and Rec master plan is 2 acres. So we're looking for a piece of land that has 2 acres. It already has to be accessible, has to have infrastructure, roads, sidewalks to it. And so we're looking at those options right now. Once we get those options, then we will sit down with Public Works as well to make sure that everything is aligned as far as the infrastructure is concerned. Then we will make outreach to the landowners, and hopefully they're interested in selling their property. And then negotiations will begin with land management, and they'll let us know. So a couple of things that we've been running into is the price per acre. Raw land is anywhere between 30 and 40,000, depending on where you're at. And we've noticed that dollar amounts or requests are coming in significantly higher, but we're working with land management to see if we can make something happen. The funding source that has been identified right now is some funds that came out of the settlement from the Philippou developer back in, I think we got those funds like in 2009, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. Don't quote me on that year, but I think that's pretty close. And a portion of those funds have to be used for infrastructure. So Public Works does have some of that money earmarked. I'm going to verify the amount, and then whatever's left, we can hopefully use for the park. We're looking, I'm not exactly sure what that dollar amount is yet. I'm still having them finalize that just to make sure, but that account has approximately $900,000 in it. Close to $900,000 in it. So I will have exact numbers for you as it continues to move forward. We do have to have it built by January of 22. So we know we have to hustle on this one. And so this project is going to shoot up to the top of our list to make sure that it happens and gets taken care of. So we still have a lot of steps to go through. It will come back this way. Of course, you'll review what it's going to look like, those types of things, just like you do with any other park. But I just wanted to kind of give you an update on this because I knew it had hit the newspaper. I know it's something different. We've never had I have never been around when there's been a resolution that asked the Parks and Recreation Department to get something built. So this is a little bit new, but it does shoot up to the top of our list as it relates to our projects. So I just, if you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer them or do my best to answer them.
I have a couple of questions, but I'm going to wait for Stan, Megan, Eric, Jeff first.
Yeah, so Sonia, this is Stan Engel, District 4. So if I understood Mr. Chervanik's public statement earlier, he is concerned that other city councilors could get a resolution passed for their own districts to do the same exact thing. And, you know, that would be, of course, if everybody started to do that, that would be a lot of money that's all of a sudden having to be spent. So if I understood his comment correctly, then why didn't this go through, why should it go through the board in the future before something like that could happen?
Can I add to that a little bit too?
Yeah.
Like, what kind of precedent does that set? I guess is my question. Like, what can we expect in the future if they can just randomly make that decision?
Madam Chair, Board Member Engel, that is a great question, both of them. And what precedent does it set? Well, this is definitely something new. And could other counselors do that? Absolutely. they don't have to bring a resolution to a board. They can write their own resolution. And they just need to get with the mayor and to let him know what they're thinking and what they'd like to bring forward. It's up to the actual city council to decide whether or not they're going to approve it. So those types of things don't necessarily have to come through the board. So they can start there. So is there a possibility we could see others? Yes, absolutely. We got a lot of questions after from other counselors asking, well, what's going on in my facility now? You know, what's going on in my district? Can you list them out? Can you give me a timeline? Can you? And so I thought that was a little interesting, but I'm not surprised. So we'll see what happens, but it is quite possible we could see another one. And yes, it is going to throw some things off as far as projects that are already in the queue, possible funding sources, and you know, it could. This is something we've already talked about and been thinking about, and I don't have any other answers for you, but other than to say, yeah, we could definitely see it again.
That's kind of a good transition to a question I had. So if you didn't have that settlement money, where does like random projects get earmarked from? Do they have to provide their own funding at that point?
Well, Madam Chair, members of the board, during that meeting, they talked about, we weren't sure if we'd be able to use the Philippine funds to begin with. And so the resolution or the vote was, if we didn't have the funding in the Philippine to use, then we were to use park impact fees. And park impact fees is the only other funding source Parks and Rec has that can be used for new levels of service. It can only be used for new levels of service. This would be a brand new park. It's never ever been there. We're not replacing anything. It's brand new. So we could use that. But to do so, and I mentioned it at the meeting, if in fact that were to happen, then I would have to go back to City Council and ask them to prioritize all the projects that are currently in the park impact fee list. And then they would have to tell me which ones wouldn't happen or which ones I can push down or whatever, because all the money in park impact fees is already earmarked for projects that are either happening right now or coming down the road, and we've already promised that money to it. So it could disrupt a lot of little things going down the road. But as you know, as I said, you know, that is the only other funding source we have for new facilities, new anything. And then the other, because we live in the general fund, we don't have extra dollars. We're an operations department. We maintain, we don't build, but I've noticed in the last few years, we're starting to get involved with building because there's so many projects coming our way from all different types of people. As you know, as being on the board, you know the different types of projects that come our way from all the different groups in the community. And it just, we're just trying to get them done one at a time, but it really comes down to dollars.
So what you're saying is that ultimately it's like a game of sorry. So somebody could just knock somebody else off the board if they, you know, in terms of the queue of what's next. So if somebody suggests one thing, they suggest another thing, this could hold up sort of, I don't know, progress or development or.
Madam Chair, members of the board, that's a delicate question, but yes, in some cases, yes, if someone were to come tell me we have to get XYZ built, and I say, okay, this the only money I have is this, and it's earmarked for something else. If they ask me to switch it out, then yes. Could it happen? Yes. But my job is to make sure they know that, and so that's why I mentioned, if we have to use park impact fees, I will have to come back to the council so they can decide which projects are going to go where. Because I certainly don't want to, you know, say, okay, I picked this one and this one. I can give them some suggestions or why we're thinking that, but ultimately they would have to decide if we needed to move funds somewhere else. But thankfully, we're able to use the Philippine count for this particular project. Well, that won't be available the next time if there is a next time. So those are some things that, you know, we definitely have to think about, because that was something we had to mentioned at the presentation also is we needed a funding source. We don't, yes, we have park impact fees, but it's already earmarked. And we showed that. We showed all the projects that were in there and it had a dollar amount to it and when they were coming offline and when they were going to finish up, et cetera. So that's where we're at the moment.
Sonia, was the Philippou lawsuit in District 5? Do you recall that? Because maybe there's a correlation there, and hopefully I think with your comments about the park impact fees that maybe City Council with everybody's concern would, maybe that would head that off if that was in the same district.
Madam Chair, Board Member Schuler, to my knowledge, yes, I believe all of Philippou's building happened in District 5. I'm not for certain, but I'm pretty sure. Because as a matter of fact, I think in the article, the family that they were speaking to, I believe lived in a home or next to some homes that were built by Philippou back in the day. So I want to say it was all in District 5, but I'm not for certain.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Do we have more questions?
Madam Chair, Standing Eagle District 4, I feel like this, if we take this as a one-off, they get to use the Philippou money and not the park impact fees. We can sort of say, okay, that's okay in air quotation marks. But I wonder if maybe as board members, we shouldn't speak to our city councilors just to say, we've discussed this in our board meeting and we just caution you against, trying to do another resolution to make a new park if there's no, if you have to use impact fees, that could really upset the budget. I don't know how much. I would hope that our words would have some weight, but I wonder if that's not something we should speak to our city councilors about, the ones who appointed us, obviously.
I think that would be a really good step one, but I'm wondering if there's actually a way for us to nudge them by having some sort of statement to say, to outline this, like to have an actual letter that we send to the board to say, after we've talked to you guys individually and kind of expressed our sentiments, if we share the sentiments on the board, to say, hey, these are some issues you can face down the road if everybody makes a park and everybody is fighting for the same spaces and the same money and the pot of money, and can we standardize some sort of procedure to do that? And or if there are procedures, we're going to open up the big books that are probably printed somewhere. So I'm thinking, yes, like step one, talk to our people, come back next month and see what they said to us. And then maybe actually write a letter to say, hey, like this could be a whole mess of worms that y'all are opening right now. What are thoughts on the other sides here? Eric, I saw the camera. I saw the mute on go. Go for it.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As a representative of District 5, I've spoken with Councilor Sword on a number of occasions regarding this park facility and specifically this set of neighborhoods and the lack of facilities. And as long as I have known Councilor Sorg, it has been a priority of his to identify this area as a park. And I think he's been pretty vocal on it during city council. From a policy and procedures side, I can understand the concern that's being expressed right now about not having it come through a more traditional channel. But I guess at the same time, if the pool of funding is not something that we traditionally deal with, I'm not sure it's within our scope or bounds. I guess that's a question for the legal department. But then also, I have to question or wonder if this is, it's just part of the politics that are afforded to city councilors to be able to say, I would like this to rise above the rest and give city council the chance to say yes or no to that, and then go forward from there. I don't know how much discussion there was. I hate to say this and I don't want to nitpick, but I know that the skate park has been a point of discussion, but I've actually heard Councilor Sorg talk about the lack of parks in this area for many years prior to that. Yeah, we're talking about money and allocations from park impact fees or lobbying for capital outlay dollars for the skate park. So I guess from my perspective and writing a letter in my conversations with my city councilor, I just I'm not sure that this particular situation warrants that. Anyways, I'm thinking off the top of my head, expressing what I've heard from my city councilor and you know, what I know from the district and what's been kind of a central issue for that set of neighborhoods particularly. So I don't know if that provides perspective or help or advances the conversation in any which way, but thank you for the opportunity.
Megan, Jeff, you guys want to weigh in? Or no?
No, I'm sorry. I'm fine. Thank you.
Aside from that, Megan, Stan, so what do you think?
Oh, I'll let Megan go.
No, I think based on Eric's comments, I think it's something that we need to stay on top of, but maybe not be as aggressive at the current moment. We, do realize that the Philippou funds are there. If it's been something that's been long-term in the discussion of the city councilor, they've obviously had some thought about it and moving forward with their plan. But I do think that the board just needs to keep it out of the forefront with our city council, and maybe at a later date and time, a more aggressive approach with a letter from the board, helping to provide some additional insight is how I take it based on District 5 comments with Eric.
Works for me. Stan, what do you think?
Yeah, I was happy to hear Mr. Montgomery's thoughts on that. He did obviously state that there is a need, and I'm sure the constituents, the citizens of Mr. Sorg's district recognize that need and probably have asked him to fill that over the years. So that's great. I'm glad that there's a funding source available and more parks can be built, because if it were up to me, there'd be linear parks everywhere, and you could leave your house and walk anywhere using a park, but it's not up to me. I still have to acknowledge Mr. Chervanik's point that we could start, unless Parks and Rec's budget is increased by decreasing another department's budget, we could spend ourselves into a hole. And so I think that's just, again, that's I think what's the big concern, and we need to watch out for. Yeah, that's
Okie dokie. So at that point, I guess what I'm understanding is everybody kind of wants to see if this does become a precedent. So if we get 5 more park requests in the next 6 months, maybe we'll address this again, right? Is that my
Madam Chair, do you mind if I chime in?
Right.
I personally, I would say that I am a bit concerned about, if you take the Philippou funds out of the equation, I am a bit concerned about how being able to pass a resolution through the city council would proceed to put a project ahead of other ones that are in the queue. To me, again, in my humble opinion, I think that we would be remiss not to, have some kind of a statement that does address that as not as a reaction, but to be proactive to that situation. Because I think that there are, I could see where this could possibly lead to some other situations, again, precluding the Philippou money. And if it has to go into the park impact fees, then I think we could see a precedent that would be set with this project that, we might not want to endeavor in the future.
Madam Chair, maybe it would be worthwhile to understand the cost impact and have a presentation along those lines. To Sonia's comments, even if there's outside funding that comes in, whether it's Philippou or whether it's some other funding mechanism from the state or otherwise, as we develop the parks, the ongoing maintenance, is there some type of way to ensure that the city has the follow-up funding, or the Parks Department specifically has the follow-up funding to maintain those projects, however they may come or arise, but that there's some kind of a alongside analysis that's done to say, yes, we can fund the ongoing maintenance of these projects.
So would that presentation be for city council then, or?
I suppose it would be for us to make the request, to bring attention to that decision making, and start from there. The only other route would be to, and I'm open to other suggestions, but if there's a letter that's drafted, then it's just simply understanding the downstream considerations to those additional expenses, and ensuring that city council allocates funding to the Parks Department for maintenance of the new facilities, which may require a resolution from this body to pass up. But I'm not going to go to that extent. I kind of would like to hear from staff on what's the best route or preferred route.
Does a letter help the Parks and Rec ultimately?
Right.
Is the question.
Madam Chair, Board Member Montgomery, I don't know. I really don't know. And because I don't know what's going to happen next. And yes, they're right. I mean, if they're going to do that, they're going to have a funding source. And this particular time, we do have one. And to your question or your comment regarding the maintenance dollars, we don't, I'm not going to say typically, we don't get maintenance dollars when we get new things. We get new things all the time. We have developers building all the time. We get groups who go after funding all the time to get new things, which is fantastic. But we don't get the maintenance dollars on the backside. So every year we go through the budget process, which we're in right now. And then we look at everything that we have currently and what's coming during that same fiscal year. And then we say, okay, we need this much money. Now, we don't always get it all. So when we don't, we have to figure out how to maintain with what we have. And we're growing very, very fast. And we have a lot of great groups out there who are very passionate about their activities, and they know how to lobby our legislators, and we have funds, and we have a ton of projects. It's great. But we look at it and it scares us because we don't have the maintenance. We don't always necessarily get it all. And the expectation is we need to keep it at a certain level. And when we don't, then they look at us saying we don't know how to do our job. And that's not the case. We we go through a lot of trainings, we do a lot of different things. We're very passionate, we have the education for that, but it comes down to dollars. And how do we get those maintenance dollars? We keep putting it back in the budget, and we'll keep asking for it, but we don't necessarily always get it. But Parks and Rec is growing fast. We're probably the fastest growing department in the last 3 to 5 years easily. And we haven't slowed down. And we're not about to slow down. We have, as you will see when Kathy gives an update on the projects, just the projects that we're doing, you're going to see there's a lot going on. And of course, we just got 2 new ones, right? We got a Fit Lot. We didn't know anything about that. They contacted us and said, hey, by the way, we selected Las Cruces, here you go. And then we had this resolution that's bringing a park. So those are 2 other items that we were not thinking about this year right now. And so, you know, we're working on other things to bring forward to possibly create other funding sources for Parks and Rec, because it's time. It's time. You know, we're, like I said, we're growing. And so I'll be bringing some more of that information a few months down the road so we can talk about that, and I can talk to you about the idea and how do we implement it, because I will need the help of this board to do so. So we're hoping that things will get put in place, but yeah, we're in that budget cycle. And I just had that conversation with Franco Granillo, who's our park administrator. And I said, don't forget, we've got this and this coming. These things are probably going to pop in here. You know, we're looking at where the developer is on certain other parks. Do you think it's going to hit us then? Because as soon as they have it built, they're ready to turn it over. And as soon as they turn it over, we're paying the bills. So we have to absorb it immediately. We don't have a grace period. It just happens. So there's a lot that we're thinking about right now. But yes, maintenance. We talk about maintenance. We know we're going to need it, but it doesn't come with the funds to build it.
And Madam Chair, is maybe a follow-up question to Sonia on that. And I'm sorry, Hazel, this is Eric with District 5. As I understand it, park impact fees do not allow for basically a holding or an accounting to where you could reserve 25% of what's raised into a interest-bearing account that could then provide reoccurring funding for maintenance of the projects, correct?
You are correct. We cannot do that. Madam Chair, members of the board. So with park impact fees, we have 7 years to spend the park impact fee that we receive from that home, basically the $2,600 right now. If we do not spend it in that time, we have to give it back to the owner. So all these projects are lined up to spend that money as it's coming in. We can't put it anywhere to earn interest, squirrel it away for a rainy day. We have to use them. And right now, the projects that we have, we probably used every single dollar on paper. You'll see that it's already been used, or it's going to be used. But no.
Why is that? Why? I mean, why is that something? Why?
That's part of the ordinance that we have for the park impact fees that says we have to spend that in that allotted time. And if not, it goes back to the owner, because we're supposed to provide new services. So when it first started, we had park impact fees for every single district. And then several years ago, they decided to pull them all together because we didn't have development happening in all the districts. So if you didn't have any development happening in your district, then you weren't going to be able to get new levels of service. So wherever they were building, they were getting new levels of service, but we couldn't move that fund, any of those funds over at any point in time. And especially if they were all built out, you weren't going to have any new levels of service because there was nothing left to build. They had to be brand new. We couldn't get impact fees. You only get impact fees one time from that home, not every time there's a new owner. It's one time. So if there's a section that's already completely built out and they've already collected all the fees, I'm not going to collect again. And so there's no funding coming in. So council, I don't know when it happened. It's been several years. They put it all into one pot. So that way we could use all the park impact fees that were coming in to Las Cruces, anywhere in Las Cruces, for new levels of service. So we're able to help, let's say downtown, for example, or, a place where it's all built out, and we can use funds that are coming in from a lot of buildings going on in District 5. We use the majority of that to pay to have that park built. But then if we have some left over, we know where that's at, and we can say, yes, we can go put a brand new swing set that's never been in a park. That's a new level of service. And it was in an older park, and we can do that with those fees.
Madam Chair, so I think I may have opened Pandora's box with some of these questions, and I do think that there's probably something more that can be discussed along these lines.
That's what I'd like to encourage. So I'd like to put this as a discussion item for next month. And I'd like to encourage, I'm not going to say it's homework, but I'd like to encourage each of you guys to reach out to your counselors individually and talk to them a little bit about maintenance, right? How do they see this happening, right? Talk to them a little bit about what kind of precedent this sets, right? What else? Talk to them, what do they anticipate with growth, right? But I think Sonia had with ordinances, they could change that to say, like, let's get some interest on things to account for maintenance if they wanted to do that, if they want to make this a more stable endeavor, right? So I'd like to put it on the discussion for next month, and I'd like to encourage you guys to talk to, I know I'm going to email Sandra, I'm going to write myself a note. But if you guys could come back and kind of see where the head is at for our city councilors, and then kind of from there, if they're just like, no, we're gonna parks everywhere, it's gonna rain parks, and then we might have to actually say something as at least to cover our butts, right? To at least say, hey, maybe not the wisest thing, because that's our role as advisory, right? So how do we feel about that?
So, Madam Chair, are you asking for a motion then to?
We can't, because this is a discussion, right? So I'm asking nicely, but I'd like to talk about this next month, and I'd like to not be the only person who would talk to their counselor, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Madam Chair, if I could really quickly, something, and I would just like to throw it out there since we're having a discussion, something that we've been talking about here in Parks and Rec, and I've had this conversation with a couple other people, is we know Go Bond is coming back up here real soon. And something I was thinking about, and it's just an idea, not sure we can, anyway, I'd like to see if maybe we could put together a Go Bond question that would have a perpetual maintenance fund, basically earmarked for Parks and Recreation. And that could either take care of the Go Bond projects that are going to be coming up next, or just all of Parks and Rec in general. That would help immensely, because I think that would create a funding stream, and it would be just for maintenance, which would be fantastic. And even if it's just for those Go Bond projects, or for the new ones, or for all the Go Bonds as it started, it doesn't matter. We need it all. So that's an idea I was going to float up to my supervisor, but I thought I would share it with the board. And if you can do with that information as you wish. And, I think that could give us an opportunity to create a funding source for Parks and Rec that is missing. And we wouldn't have to worry about, I wonder if we're going to have some funds here or have an extra few dollars. We're just going to have to wait. So I think that would help, because we have a lot of asks that are in the queue. We have a lot of projects that are coming from the state. We have a lot of grants that are coming at us. We're looking at trying to, get some land leased over from the public schools. And once that happens, the expectation of those facilities is going to be extremely high. And to do that, we're going to have those maintenance dollars to take care of that, because then we're not going to be able to function at the level that we want to be at. So that was one of the ideas we were going to talk about as Go Bond got a little closer. And I wanted to mention that. I will be mentioning that to my supervisor, but I thought I would, since we were talking about that and funding sources and maintenance came up, I thought this was a good time to mention it. Thank you.
Madam Chair, I do have a question. Jeff Thompson, District 2, and this question is for Sonia, and kind of maybe scaffolds a little bit onto Eric's comment earlier. And but Sonia, with the impact fees, you say it's $2,600 per new resident that is collected. It's a one-time fee. I understand that. Just a little background, maybe you can help me with this. Why was there never any percentage of that, per Eric's notion earlier? Why was no percentage of that ever earmarked toward maintenance towards a new project?
Madam Chair, members of the board, the way I understand the way the park impact fees work, you can't use it. The way the language is written in the ordinance and as it's used, I think within the state of New Mexico, is it has to be used for new levels of service and cannot be used for maintenance at all or replacement. It has to be brand new. So with that language, we couldn't squirrel it away. And then the other item that's on there is it has to be spent within 7 years, or it has to be given back. Whatever hasn't been spent has to be given back to each owner, to each homeowner in that particular area.
Has that ever
It'd
happened?
be, oh, I'm sorry.
Not to my knowledge, not to my knowledge.
Well, it wouldn't be hard to spend the fee within seven years if a portion of that's going to maintenance. I think we can all agree on that. So Sonia, you do believe that that's maybe a statewide issue and not just a local?
Madam Chair, Board Member Thompson, yes, I do believe so, but I'm not certain. And I do apologize. I don't have my folder right here with me. And I don't know if Ms. Matthews, if Ms. Kathy Matthews has some additional information. She's worked with the park impact fees a little bit longer than I have, and she might have some additional info. And I see her coming online.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is Kathy Matthews. Yes, it is my understanding that impact fees in general are regulated by state law, and through the legislature and through state laws and regulations. And so those come down to us. We are allowed to impose impact fees as long as we follow those regulations. And it is my understanding, especially with park impact fees, that the impact fees can only be used for new levels of service. They cannot be used for maintenance. They are only for capital improvements. And that comes through the city regulations from state regulations. I hope that's a little bit clearer.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Or is it just me? Stan, Megan?
Madam Chair, Stan Engel, District 4. I'll go ahead and just say that I agree that we should discuss this with our city councilors and talk about it at some other time.
All right, yeah. So let's go ahead and move on to the other discussion. We have a couple others still left, but I'm going to encourage you to talk to and if we could put it on the next agenda as a discussion item, just to see where we're at and where their head's at, and that would be nice. Any other thoughts before I move on? No, we're good. All right, thank you, everybody. 7.4 Comcast lift zones. Robert Nunez.
Madam Chair, board members, how are you all doing this evening? Robert Nunez, Youth Services Administrator. Would like to offer some good news in regards to the opportunity for the city of Las Cruces to be able to get some Wi-Fi lift zones, as they're called, through Comcast cable company. What we're trying to do is we were reached out by external affairs Comcast representative who was looking to see if we could identify locations within Parks and Recreation and within the city to be able to get these Wi-Fi areas for students to be able to participate in distance learning, remote working, and after school care programs. We were able to identify 7 Parks and Recreation facilities and 4 senior program facilities that we may be able to get this completed. We're currently working with our IT department, with legal, and again with Comcast to see if we can get this accomplished in the very near future. I know throughout the county, and I believe the public schools are also involved with this. She did mention, the Comcast representative did mention up north, they have some outside of Albuquerque, Taos, Socorro, New Mexico, and she's reaching out throughout the state to see how many communities could utilize this program to be able to access the hours for educational, for digital skills, content to help families, and to navigate online learning, as certainly we are currently in and anticipate to continue to be in possibly throughout the year, school year at least. With that, the contract would be for 3 calendar years. So that is something that's very positive. Even if we do get through this pandemic and move forward and the youth are able to get back into the classrooms, there will be an opportunity for them to come to our sites, and or seniors being able to be involved at the senior centers and have that capability of having Wi-Fi to be able to get some of their work done, and or for entertainment purposes also. So that's something that we're looking forward to. We are kind of going back and forth with Comcast right now. They have assessed, I believe, 7 of our facilities at this point. We hope to have the rest completed by next week. And then moving forward with any type of contract on our end and also on Comcast side of it as well.
Thank you, Robert. Any questions for him?
Madam Chair, this is Eric, District 5. Robert, do you know if as part of the arrangement, Comcast is going to have to pull permits to upgrade wiring within the facilities to be able to do this?
Madam Chair, Board Member Montgomery, that they did mention that in a couple of our areas, I think up on the East Mesa, that they would evaluate what infrastructure is there, and if need be on their end, try to assist to get that added resource available for those locations.
Okay, just as clarification for where my question was coming from, I think that this type of infrastructure is critical right now. Remote learning is tremendously difficult. And I have a really big heart for the kids that are just trying to get it done and showing up outside the schools, not able to go in, but trying to access Wi-Fi. And I think this is an absolute need for our community. And I would hate for there to be instruments that would interfere with it. And I'm not saying that there's a problem with permitting. I just wouldn't want to see a project like this get tied up if we're advocating for it on behalf of the city. You know, is there a way that we could waive permits or something, given the focus on relieving issues, societal issues for the pandemic? So just something I'm throwing out there for discussion. It's not something I think the board needs to vote on. Just my own personal comments. But thank you.
Madam Chair, Board Member Montgomery, Sonia Delgado, Director of Parks and Recreation. Actually, our Community Development Department does have a City of Las Cruces permit. It kind of encompasses all facilities. So if something needs to be done, the permit process is slightly different. And we already have an all-encompassing one. That's a basic way of explaining that one. And I just found out from Larry, who is our community development director, and he was telling me about that. So that's going to help us immensely. So if we do run into any of those issues, we should be able to get through them relatively quickly to make sure that we can provide these services to the youth in our community and anybody else in our community that needs some assistance with that, who don't necessarily want to come into the facility, but can get really close by so they could utilize it. And then I would also like to add, Robert and I had also talked about, as the weather gets warmer, and we've already made mention of this to Comcast, is to possibly have Wi-Fi out in some of our parks. That would be very nice. We've got great weather, and so it'll start warming up here in the next few months. So it's a possibility. They said they would think about it. They had not had a request like that, but they're willing to think about it. So we're hoping, and we have our fingers crossed for that one. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that clarity. I really appreciate that, and I'm excited to hear about that with the special city permit. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Stan, do you have
Madam Chair, the Standing Goal District 4. I 100% agree with Eric that this is critical infrastructure, and we absolutely need it. And the pandemic has definitely cast a light on some of our infrastructure failings. So I absolutely would want this to happen, but my question is, the source of funding, and my concern would be that if Comcast needs to, if Comcast is going to have the city or have the city pay for upgrading their infrastructure, and then after a few years when the program's either no longer needed or we let the city, lets it lapse, Comcast sort of says, thanks taxpayers for paying us to upgrade our corporate infrastructure. I think that's my biggest concern.
Robert, did you want to talk to that, or?
They did mention, and again, we need to get with our local representatives also here at Comcast, but the state representative did mention at our facilities, anything that is needing upgraded would be done through Comcast. All construction or added material that would be needed would be put on Comcast at this time. And then I believe after that 3 years is up, it would be between the city of Las Cruces and Comcast to decide on what they would want to do to continue the services that they initially put in place at this time.
Okay, Madam Chair, follow-up question then. So if Comcast, it sounds like Comcast is doing this kind of like as advertisement almost for themselves, like, hey, we're doing this. This is great. We're doing this for the community. In 3 years, when everything is said and done, and we can renegotiate this project, would it be possible for another internet service provider to use the infrastructure that Comcast installed in buildings or leading up to the buildings, if we decide not to work with Comcast again? For example, like I guess the only other ISP is CenturyLink in the area, but just kind of like, is it 100% tied to Comcast, or can we use it for another, the infrastructure, the actual physical infrastructure, if we could use it later?
Madam Chair, Board Member Engel, I think that's a question that we would certainly need to ask with them at this time. But I don't have that information or that answer to that question.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
Jeff, Megan, did you have anything? If I hear no, then I have a question real quick. What does it look like? I mean, what is the lift sort of, where are you going to have it? Or is it going to be sort of socially distanced where everybody's in a gym and they can sit and do their homework, or how does that?
Madam Chair, board members, what we're currently looking at is to be surrounding our internal facility, most definitely. But then also we spoke with them in regards to seeing if we can get it to the outskirts of our parking lots at some of our facilities. And then we do have some parks that are in close proximity to our facilities up on the East Mesa off of Porter. And there's a park right next to the building to be able to utilize it also in the outdoors area.
Will you have a spot inside that a couple of people, if you need to sit and do your work, this is a spot where you're going to access the internet? Or?
Madam Chair, board members, what my understanding through Wi-Fi, I'm not a tech individual, but is that they set it up and then that strength allows to do square footage of Wi-Fi. So it wouldn't be only in just maybe in our classroom areas, but it would be throughout the gymnasiums and everywhere per se, as per Mearshite Recreation Center. It would cover the entire area of a building.
But are you allocating any spaces where they're having the lift zone? So it's saying at least a table or two socially distanced where 5 people can sit, and that is a space that they can access the internet and do nothing else?
We do, Madam Chair, board members, we do have areas in our lobbies in some of our facilities and in our front office. Majority of them do have lobbies where we could set something up to have that desk area specifically for that. And then if there's recreation going on in other areas, it would be you're correct, a designated study area or Wi-Fi area for the public.
Okay. Anyone else before we move on? I'll give it a second. Hearing none. Okay, thank you, Robert. All right, let's move on to project updates. Kathy.
Madam Chair, thank you very much. I just wanted to run down our project list real quick and give you brief updates on each of our projects. We have our projects categorized into several different types. We have our top 10 projects. We have our next 10 projects. We have those that are considered to be on deck, upcoming. We have supported projects, which are projects that are primarily being managed by other departments, but which we support, which we offer our expertise and knowledge on. And we have what are called parking lot items, those that are going to be coming up and that will require our attention and will need to go on one of these other lists, but are not quite ready for that yet. So those are our general projects. We also have what we call internal projects, which are the special projects team works very closely with Franco and the parks team to accomplish. So with that, I'm going to share the screen real quick and just go through our list of projects fairly quickly. So our top 10 include, of course, the skate park renovation project. That one has got state legislative funding to complete that project, and it's among our top 10. The next one is called the ORLPP grant. It's the Apodaca Park Aquatic Playground, and we are in the process of receiving a grant. It's called the ORLPP grant, Outdoor Recreation Legacy Partnership Program grant. That project it's underway right now. We're conducting a cultural resources study that's required in order to receive federal funding. The park security and lighting project at Veterans Memorial Park is also well underway. Our electrical upgrades have been accomplished, And we're getting ready to start on the lighting portion of that project. We'll be adding pathway lightings at Veterans Memorial Park and actually also at Gomez Park with this state legislative funding. The RTP grant, Recreational Trails Program grant, is also received through the state, through the Department of Transportation. That's for a trail along the Las Cruces lateral. We are in the process of negotiating a design contract with a firm to get that project underway. The smart controllers project uses what's called a water smart grant, also through a federal funding source, and we will be finishing up that project by installing booster pumps for our irrigation systems at Soldados and at Apodaca Park. The Women Veterans Monument, we're about midway through completing the lighting system upgrade and replacement, making some electrical upgrades to that facility and ensuring that the lights are appropriate. The City Bond Median Landscapes Phase 1, sorry for these ridiculously boring titles, but that's the way we go. This project is funded by City Bond, and two medians within each council district are being landscaped, including irrigation in most of the cases. We are working with Public Works to construct that project. We're under construction right now. Highland Park is a project that will be using park impact fees as well as HHGRT city funds, hold harmless gross receipts tax funds from the city. Design is complete. We're preparing to go out to bid for construction on Highland Park. That's located near Highland Elementary School, north of US 70 at Emerald Street, I believe it is. And it'll be a 10-acre park on property that is leased from the Bureau of Land Management. Loman and Roadrunner medians, we also received $50,000 from the state legislature to complete that project. That will be enough we will make sure that's enough to accomplish design of all the unlandscaped medians on Loman and Roadrunner. We've completed a topographic survey of all of those medians and are getting ready to write the RFP for design. And then, of course, just this past week, the AARP Fit Lot Outdoor Fitness Park became one of our top 10 priorities because of that schedule, the expedited schedule. It needed to move up from our on deck project list onto our top 10 project list. So that completes our top 10 projects. Let me see if I can scoot down a little bit. Oops, that was a little too far. So our next 10, I'm so sorry, my screen has disappeared. Can you all hear me by any chance?
We can hear you. I can hear you.
Okay, I can hear you, but I can't see a single thing. Wow, this may be a problem.
Maybe stop sharing and then reshare if you need to.
I would love to stop sharing, but I can't even
Yes,
see
yes.
a button that allows me to stop sharing. I'm so sorry. I hope this doesn't cause problems.
Hazel, can you
Hazel might be able to help you.
Can you make me stop sharing? I'm so sorry. This has never happened to me. I'm plugged in. I've got plenty of power. Just can't see my screen.
Do we have any questions for Kathy?
Here we go.
While we wait.
Well,
I tried to stop sharing and it doesn't, it just brings up another screen. I mean, with a bunch of pages on it.
I'm so sorry. It won't, there's no stop sharing button that you can access?
Well, I did. I hit stop sharing screens and it brought me up a screen that shows other pages to share.
Oh. I apologize. I just can't. I don't know what to do.
Can you get out of there, Kathy?
I pressed the escape button. I can't see my screen, so I can't do anything on my end. I can't
Oh.
even shut myself off.
How about?
Kathy,
Yeah, Franco, help me.
press Control Alt Delete and see if it gives you a menu to end your
Yeah.
end your web.
Oh, so I'm back. Okay. Phew, so sorry. I'm back. Are you all still seeing my screen by any chance?
Yes.
Yes.
Good. Thank you. I apologize for the delay. Okay. So I just wanted to real quick go through our next 10 projects. Wow. I'm going to stop sharing. It seems to be messing things up. I'll just go through them verbally and I'll be happy to provide the document to you at a later time. So our next 10 include City Bond Median Landscapes Phase 2. We will be starting design on that, but it's not the top 10 priority. We have a couple projects at Metro Verde subdivisions, namely the Ninja Park, which is going to be a lot of fun, and the Red Hawk Gulf Road Landscape project and Red Hawk Villas Park. In addition, we're working with the DOT on the I-10, I-25 interchange improvements, and also Chandler Tank improvements. That's a stormwater retention pond located on Sonoma Ranch Boulevard, where we will be building out a neighborhood park using park impact fees. Excuse me, not park impact fees, using funding from Parks and Rec, or excuse me, Public Works. We have the Las Cruces soccer field improvements, where we have received, again, capital outlay funding from the state legislature to make improvements at the High Noon soccer fields. We will be conducting a public process to develop a master plan at Gomez Park that will include the lighting, but will also allow us to, in the future, make improvements that the neighbors desire to see in that park. And finishing out the next 10 includes 2 trail projects. One we call the Doniana Move Trail, and also the Tortugas Trail. Those also are being funded by state legislative grants and also a private grant from the Paso del Norte Foundation, for which we are very grateful. They've been very generous to allow us to complete that project. We have several projects on deck. You will be hearing about them. Maybe tonight's not the time to go exactly through those. And then of course we have our supported projects, most of which are the GOBON projects. Public Works is managing those projects, but we at Parks and Recreation are heavily involved. Franco and his crew, Rudy, Rudy Trevino, Joey Dominguez, and other parks staff are heavily involved in reviewing the plans, providing specifications for particular items we need, and generally helping to move those projects forward. So that's a little bit of the tip of the iceberg, but we've got a lot of exciting things going on from a lot of different funding sources, and it keeps us busy and keeps us happy, and provides a lot of great new and renovated landscapes and parks and other kinds of facilities for our residents. And I'd be happy to answer questions or provide additional information. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy. Any questions for her?
No.
Hearing none. Emma, thank you again. And we're going to go on to staff member comments. Sonia?
Madam Chair, members of the board, I don't have anything other than to say we're starting our budget process, and I think I mentioned that earlier. And also, City Council will start with their strategic planning process tomorrow. I'll be in that meeting listening to what they're thinking about and what kinds of priorities they're going to be sending our way. So more to come on that one. Thank you. I'll pass this on to Robert Nunez.
Sorry, Madam Chair, board members, few highlights that as we move forward in the new year, our Development Diversion Program, our JCP program is still virtual. We're still seeing clients. Attendance is going very well. Staff are doing an amazing job online with the classes and transitioning over. And very positive things coming from there. We're meeting actually with the public schools tomorrow to discuss how we can assist them with the youth that have kind of fallen off the map per se and are not involved with the virtual learning that they are offering. So we hope to be able to assist them in ways, as well as the families, if we can make contact with them. Our Keep Las Cruces Beautiful program, we just recently completed our YCC program for our mural project. I will be getting, or not I, but I will have James, our KLCB coordinator, presenting next month in regards to the mural project. Sadly to say, they were able to finish, December 31st was the deadline. So that was a good thing. But we have already been tagged there at the tunnel by Coles. So we did have staff or some of the youth board members volunteered, as well as our facilitator went back out there last week and cleaned it all up. It was minor, but it still was something. So something negative on something that was done beautiful and something very positive. And so they immediately got on that, and so they cleaned that up. But I will be able to provide a presentation and certainly some photos of the mural project that was just recently completed. Our out of school time programs started back up on Tuesday. Our after school program, which is now throughout the day, our tutoring sessions. We are about 50% capacity on those sites. We have 3 sites throughout the city. Our after school our A. Fielder Memorial Safe Haven program is just about 100% with capacity. But again, those numbers are 5 per session, and we offer 4 sessions throughout the day. So we have 20 youth that we're assisting there in that program. And our Teen Connection, which is based out of Mearshite Recreation Center, is at about 90% capacity with 40 teens involved with that tutoring session there. So we continue to get phone calls. Families are hesitant to get into the programs as they are face-to-face. We do practice mask, 6 foot distance, as well as washing of hands and hand sanitizer. So we'll continue to offer those, and then see how we can proceed as the schools start to open up more and we're able to offer more services to our families. And that is everything for youth services. Thank you.
Phil Katnack.
You're muted, Phil.
And that's all I had to say about everything. Thank you, guys. No, I'm just kidding. Phil Katnack, Recreation Administrator. Good to hear from and see all you guys. A few updates from the recreation section. Mearshite Recreation Center is getting a new wood floor in our league gym. The wood floor is over 20 years old. The cost of the floor was $128,000, $78,000 coming from the state legislature, and $50,000 coming from a special fund. And the special fund is the funds that we received when people buy the license plates that say City of Las Cruces on them. So these were the funds from that. So we're getting a new wood floor. The construction starts on January 26th. It's about a 6-week project. So when we meet in March, maybe I'll be able to give a presentation and show you pictures of the floor. The cool thing is the floor is going to cover the entire gym, so it can go north and south. We can have, we can play full court north and we can play full court south and get way more use out of that gym. In aquatics, Fringer Pool is open for lap swim. The temperatures are a little low, lingering about 78 degrees. Most people like to lap swim in about 80 to 82 degrees, but they're coming. The Regional Aquatic Center, our filtration systems went down, but we're working on them to get the lap swim and the channel walk back up. But our fitness area at the Regional Aquatic Center is open and it's being used quite steadily. Our recreation section staff are putting up videos and we're posting them on Facebook. If you guys had a chance to check them out, they're doing skills development in different sports such as basketball and soccer and baseball, volleyball. We had a lesson in crocheting, some healthy meals. So those are cool little 2-minute videos just to give people some ideas of activities to do while they're at home. And then during this time, we're just looking at ways that we can start up our recreation programming again. So we're looking at ways to do small fitness classes, events, music events, and then just recreational offerings. So in the next few months, we'll see how we can do things carefully, cautiously, smartly, and safely. And if we can, we'll get those activities going. And until then, we'll continue to put up videos. We'll try to stay relevant and just keep our community very upbeat and positive. But that's what we have going on the recreation section. And again, good to see you guys and hope you guys are doing fine and being safe. Thank you.
Franco, Granillo.
Good evening, everybody. This is Franco. A really quick update. We're working on a debrief on what we've learned from COVID over the last year. I know we're coming up on a year, and it was around this time last year when we were planning for our growing season. And then all of a sudden, by March and April, a lot of us were at home for a couple of weeks. So we're going through lessons learned, what the good, the bad, the ugly was. And we're going to come up with a document and a template. So in case we have to go through a pandemic again, we'll know exactly what to prioritize and what can kind of be left on the back burner, and we can still keep up with all of our maintenance in that way. For staff right now, the ball field staff is still we're closed in the athletic fields, but they're preparing the fields for when we are able to open. And also some of their staff have continued to work on trails. I have the construction maintenance staff working with other staff in the department to address washouts along Treviche Trail. And we're re-landscaping because we've lost some rock out there due to the erosion control and projects going on out there on that side of town. I have the parks maintenance staff working with community forestry right now, installing irrigation and planting trees. We're a little bit over halfway over 300 trees planted goal for the year. I think we're at 159. And I also have staff working with Kathy, Will, and Serge on their special projects, as Kathy mentioned before. So, we're all busy kind of sharing resources right now in order to make maintenance a little bit better and easier for the upcoming growing season. And also Phil's group is working with my group, identifying, I guess you would say damaged or vandalized or amenities that have met their lifespan in order so we can replace them later on this fall. So that's worked out very well for us because we don't have staff to look at all those things time and time again because, of course, they're performing maintenance duties. So I want to thank Phil for that help. And it sounds like Robert's up and running. So if his staff ever needs any of those hours to complete, they could assist us on that as well. So I think it's going very well. All of us combining our resources and working together, and we're just looking forward to this year, and hopefully we get a full year of work and man hours, and everyone stays safe and healthy so we can just continue to chug along. So thank you, and it's good to hear from everybody tonight.
Thank you. Kathy Matthews?
Thanks, Sonia. So just went through our projects, and so we're keeping going on our projects. We are working remotely for the most part. We do come into the office as often as we can, and when it's safe for us to meet socially distanced in person. And it's always good to see real faces, real 3D faces in person. It's just a wonderful thing. Basically, we're keeping busy. We've got lots and lots and lots to do, and it looks like it's going to carry us through this year, no matter what else this year is going to throw at us. So, but I want to echo what everybody else has said. It's really good to see everybody in person, and what qualifies as in person now. I hope everyone stays safe. Thank you.
Madam Chair, if I may, for just a brief moment, I just wanted to say thank you to Mr. Robert Harrison for being a board member and for being so involved with our department. We really do appreciate it. I'm sorry we're not able to get together in person, but we do have something for you, and I'll have to send it to you, and we'll get that over to you as quickly as possible. But I just want to say thank you. I really do appreciate your passion for Parks and Recreation, and you gave us a lot of really good insight, and just want to say thanks. Appreciate it.
Well, you're welcome. I guess I still need to take some paperwork over to you, so maybe we can trade. I'll get that done. But anyway, I just Sonia sent me the link as a panelist or something like that, so it was kind of funny to just sit here and listen to it, and just thinking back of over the multiple chairs and multiple staff that I've seen off and on being affiliated with different youth organizations, and it just amazes me what you guys do, between seeing Robert and Phil and our kids playing against each other, multiple different things, and then you guys are doing this all day during the day and then coaching at night, and it's wonderful. And then just seeing all the stuff Kathy does on all the CAD, I thought it was kind of funny. And she's the one that has the CAD and doing all the layouts, and had the computer issues tonight, but there's just so much stuff that you guys do that it's unseen and not known, and you guys are just an awesome group of individuals. And Sonia, you're the hardest working one out there, and take the whole crew and put them all somewhere doing something, and someone asks you to do something, you always do it. You're an amazing woman. And let me see, I need to flip my phone. I'm not used to doing this on the phone. For the remaining board people, you guys are also awesome, and good discussions tonight, and really getting into the details. It was great to listen to that. And Jeff, welcome and congratulations. And you have a great background and passion for sports, and with your history, and you'll be a great person for the board. I hope you enjoy and able to participate well, and as we move forward. So thank you.
No, you're awesome. Yay. I don't know. Everybody was kind of doing like fake clapping, but like, yeah, thank you so much for being sort of the guide into being a chair too. So thank you for your heart. And I'm going to have to try to live up to asking like the pointed questions you do. So I take notes when I'm doing this now, but yeah, thank you. Let's, unless anybody else wanted to, and I guess we could do this while we're doing the board member comments, but does anybody have board member comments?
Madam Chair, I'm sorry, but I just noticed that Mr. Shervanek had his hand up.
Oh, I don't see that. Sorry, Gregory.
Okay, yeah, I just saw it just now. So I don't
How
know.
long has he had it up?
I don't know. Hazel, could you help him and unmute him? please?
Yes, yes.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. I just wanted to personally express my gratitude to Mr. Harrison as well for taking the time to listen to my comments as the other board members have. Thank you.
Well, you're welcome. You're very welcome. And I always appreciate your input as all the other board members do. And you have a heart in wanting to help your district and all the other districts and a lot of background and knowledge. So thank you very much.
And just does the assistant city manager want to say anything? I see him on the call and I realize he's staff technically, right? If he wants to say anything.
No, just want to say hello, everyone. Yeah, thank you to Mr. Robert Harrison for all the work. I don't know you, but it sounds like you've done some great things with your time here, as well as the board and staff. Keep up the great work. I'm just excited to be here and to work with you. And I'm hearing great things every day. Everyone says, "Oh, Parks and Rec, they're on it. Sonia's doing all this stuff. She's Superwoman." So, and that comes with the staff. So. I can't wait to take the tour of Parks and Rec. And anyways, kudos to everybody. Thank you.
All right, does any board member want to say anything? Jeff, Stan, Megan, Eric?
I haven't heard, Madam, excuse me, Madam Chair, this is Eric Montgomery, District 5. I haven't heard anybody do the obligatory happy 2021 yet. I realized I was a little bit late, but wanted to wish everybody a happy new year and many great successes for Parks and Rec in this new year. So thank you.
Madam Chairman, just real quick, welcome to the board, Jeff. We're glad to have you. Please reach out to us should you need anything. To the staff of Parks and Rec, also happy 2021. Make every day better than it was yesterday. And you guys are doing great things. I am super excited to hear about the Wi-Fi with Comcast. What a great platform for everybody in the community. And Robert, thank you for everything. Best of luck to you and hope you stay in touch. And just thank you for being a great chairman and setting a good example for the rest of us to follow.
Madam Chair, Standing Goal District 4. Yes, I will also echo happy 2021. Hopefully this year is better than last year. And it does seem like there's some hope on the horizon with the vaccine. And I would like to say thank you to the staff for the presentations and, for all your hard work in Parks and Recreation. To Mr. Thompson, welcome aboard. It feels like my 2.5 years have gone pretty quickly. So, in a couple of years, you might feel the same way. To the board as well, thank you. Happy New Year. We've had very good conversations. To Mr. Harrison, it was great to have you. Hope to see you around as a concerned citizen on the calls, and of course to all the concerned citizens like Mr. Shervanek, thank you as well for bringing things to our attention. Our democracy kind of works when we listen to our fellow community members and try and take action based on people's input. And I hope I didn't miss anybody, but that's all I have. Thanks.
Madam Chair, Cassie, thank you. I appreciate the warm welcome, and I'm excited to be a part of the board moving forward. And yes, I echo everyone's wish and hope that 2021 is much better than 2020. Thank you again.
All right, I'm not going to wish that for anybody because I don't want to jinx it. That's my sentiment on that. So I think we have a motion for adjournment, or yeah, right? From someone do.
Motion to adjourn, Madam Chair. This is Eric.
We'll have a second.
I
Madam
second
Chair,
that. Sorry, Stan, I beat you to it.
that's okay. It's okay. I yield. You get the second.
That's all I've done tonight is just the second, so we're good.
All right, we'll see you guys next time. Thank you very much. We have
No,
it.
we have to
We have to vote on it. Oh God. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, we'll see you guys next time then.
7:47 PM.
7:47. That's it.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Bye.
Good night.